Okay, that was weird. Okay, anyway, he was conducting an interview. He left his pen behind. It's empty. This could indicate anything. We can't definitively prove it wasn't the defendant stabbing the woman. Although, yeah, again, these open reads are very suspicious. Like, someone could have just stabbed through it. I don't know why the court's not considering. I mean, I guess we can't definitively. Wait, but it's Manny Memo's camera. Like, surely it was him. Pretty obvious, I think. But, we need to prove that to the court. So, none on the knife. Okay then. Alright. Well, we have guesses, but I'm not sure how we're going to substantiate it and find some weird way to wriggle out of it. But anyway. May gave us her account of how events unfolded in the defendant's antechamber before the trial resumed. She told us what happened at the precise moment Miss Brett was killed. The Englishwoman was sitting at the back of the hut, listening to what I was saying. Okay. Yeah. And then, a moment later, she suddenly got to her feet. Wait, hold on. I forgot to check the poison report. My bad. But is the effect immediate? Following a lecture. Yeah, okay. Fatal in minutes. Okay, so it's not instant, from what I can tell. She would have had time to be a bit conscious. Impaired breathing. Interesting. Okay. Okay, yeah, that checks out if it was the poison acting up. Where it came from, I have no idea, but, before collapsing on the floor in front of me with a knife in her back. Yeah, that just materialized out of nowhere. Seemingly. But we have a good idea. How could Miss Brett have been stabbed in the back in a beach hut that was empty before his girlfriend day? Somewhere amid all the information we've gathered so far, there must be an answer to that question. Yes. I think it's about time we show the court. I take it then that the defense has nothing further to add. Always in a rush.
So the gallant yokel student's luck finally runs out. Can't say I'm surprised.
In that case, I am ready to deliver my final verdict on this matter. This is a crucial turning point now. If we can't establish what really happened, it's over. Where was the real culprit hiding? And how did he or she stab the victim? Well, we know. Well. Oh, he's sweating. Your Excellency, I respectfully ask you to postpone your adjudication for the time being. Oh, to what end, counsel? The defense would like to present the court with an alternative theory. An alternative theory that can explain who the victim was actually trying to implicate with a dying gesture.
An alternative theory? Ha! None exist!
There was someone else present at the scene who could have committed this crime.
What?
And the victim, Miss Brett, tried to reveal who it was to those around her at the time. By mustering all her remaining strength and pointing a trembling finger in the killer's direction.
This is fiction! Fantasy!
Very well. As you seem so sure of yourself, counsel, I am prepared to hear your alternative theory. So, young Liu Taro Naruhodo, Yes, Your Excellency! You will present your latest theory to the court by means of this plan. Yep. At the moment the victim was stabbed, where exactly are you proposing the culprit was concealed? Boopity boop! Naruhodo-san would never give up. I am a Naruhodo now! The true culprit who fatally stabbed Miss Brett was concealed in this location here. Wait, what? Are you mad, Counsel? You're suggesting the culprit was outside the hut? Don't scare me like that, game! I thought it was wrong. No! I approve! Order! But you're alone! Lawyer Naruhodo-san, Esquire! That makes no sense at all! You've just pointed out the exact spot where I was hiding to get my scoop snap! I didn't see any suspicious individuals loitering about. I can swear to that. Dude.
Obviously, if the culprit had been outside the hut,
Is no one putting the two and two together?
there is no way that he or she could have stabbed the victim who was inside the hut.
Actually, Prosecutor Ochi, there is a way. Sit down now. And in point of fact, the defense can provide evidence strongly suggesting that this is precisely the way Miss Brett was killed.
You're bluffing! You're bluffing, you yokel!
The defense's assertion is clearly too fantastical for the court to comprehend, for some bizarre reason. You will need to give us more guidance, Counsel. Alright, what piece of evidence corroborates your theory? Oh, what do we present? Oh, I guess this shows that there's the thing over there. Right, it's a bit more clear, maybe? Please be right. Alright, the original photographic print of the crime scene! Yes, it's clearly visible in this print. The trace of the fatal thrust that was delivered from outside the beach hut. What now?
Do you take us for fools? There's no hints of any such thing. Maybe you should get your glasses checked.
I'm not sure that everyone present would agree. Someone, at least, appears to have noticed what it is that I'm referring to. Counsel, once again, I must call on you to be explicit for the court. Where on this photograph is the trace of the stabbing which you claim took place from outside the hut? Look closely just here. The screen at the back of the hut, you can see the effects of a blade having been forced through the reeds.
No! I can't see any such thing!
It's true that the hut in question had 4 walls as you expect. However, by parting the reeds, a knife blade could easily penetrate them. This is extraordinary! Yes. The true culprit actually stabbed the victim from outside the beach hut! And of everyone present at the scene, there is only one person who could have done that. Only one person who was directly outside the hut when Miss Brett was killed. Like the many memos, it could only have been you! No!
This preposterous idea leaves me almost speechless. Just look at the photograph again. The victim lies almost exactly in the center of the beach hut, does she not?
She was alive for a couple of minutes.
Are we to assume, as part of this farcical scenario, that the assailant was a knife thrower?
No, of course not.
We're not!
If you recall the testimony of the defendant about the events just before the victim's death. Inside the beach hut, I confronted Miss Brett.
She just sat on a stool at the back of the hut, smiling sweetly at me as if she knew she was untouchable. A stool?
Have another look at the photograph. The slit in the read screen would align perfectly with the back of a person who was sitting on that stool. My word! So, in fact, the victim was killed while sitting on that stool by a stab wound to her back delivered through the read screen.
Yeah.
Having been attacked, Miss Brett rose to her feet instinctively. But then, unable to speak, she collapsed on the floor in the middle of the hut before the defendant, Membami-san's appalled eyes. And that, Your Excellency, is the truth of what happened on the beach that day. By your silence, Memo-san, I take it that you don't deny the charge.
This is absurd!
That will do. It would appear that we have a tacit admission of guilt from the witness. Accordingly, this court has successfully established the truth of this matter, which means that the defendant, Membami-san, is innocent of the crime. Oh, thank goodness. I finally made him cave. I must say, I've never been more proud.
No, this could be the OG Klein kid! What of my growth of hope? It wasn't an overall operation! I can't accept this! I won't!
See no reason for the continuance of this trial. I will therefore move to conclude proceedings by delivering This is all very convenient. This is how the highest court in our mighty empire delivers justice, is it? Suppressing well-meaning citizens' freedom to speak and branding them as criminals. But we've established that the victim was stabbed from outside the hut through the read screen walls. And no one but you was in place at the time to have his hand on the hilt of the blade. It's a perfectly logical deduction. So, your argument hinges on the location of whoever stabbed the English woman, does it? Well, it seems a little irrelevant now. Irrelevant? Where she was stabbed, how she was stabbed. It doesn't matter. I mean, whether she was stabbed at all makes no difference if you think about it. After all, this trial's already shown the whole thing hinges on something else. What are you talking about? Brace yourself, little man. I'm talking about the fact that everything's changed. Because of the dirt you dug up. What? Enough of obscurity. Explain yourself, witness. What's to explain? I'm talking about the poison, of course.
The poison?
Let's ask the professor for a comment on the situation, shall we? I understand that the deadly poison you were developing was stolen from your laboratory, correct? And it's been shown that this poison was administered to the victim, Miss Brett. Is that right? That is correct. The unusual constriction of the victim's pupils are a sure sign that this particular poison was used. Oh, I see, I see. So, presumably that means that the victim already had the poison in her body before she was stabbed. Uh-oh. Given that her pupils were clearly constricted, it seems highly likely, yes. If she had been dead already, the poison could not have circulated in her blood.
How refreshing to hear the argument of a metropolitan mind. Precisely! It matters not a jot who stabbed the woman in whom those black and with whose blade. Because, quite simply, the Englishwoman's life was taken not by the knife, but by the poison.
Well, that can be explained by the poison.
Forgotten already, have we, yokel? During these very proceedings, the laboratory of the professor and your scientists assisted in proving that the blade of the weapon used to attack the victim had no trace of poison on it whatsoever.
So, let me get this down. Facts as skillfully established by the defense in this trial turn out to be a headline-making red herring. Is that about right? Well... Order! But where does this leave us? How, in that case, did the poison enter the victim's body? There is an undeniably obvious answer to that. The lady most likely imbibed it. You mean she drank it? Fancy words. Have another look at the photograph here. As you can see, a bottle of carbonated water and a glass have been knocked onto the sandy floor of the beach hut. The poison could have been slipped into either. So somebody made Miss Bread drink it. Well, what do you know? Look at those dashing eyes. This will make a great front page shot. Hey, why the bewitching stare? After all, I'm the last person you should be looking at. It would make no sense at all that I poisoned the woman, would it? I mean, that's been established already. Established? What are you talking about? Huh? Don't tell me you've forgotten. That's a little hard to believe, given that the person who established it was you! Me? What on earth does he mean? Oh, let me capture those wide eyes. This is prime press fodder, this is. It would seem that this trial is not destined to end yet after all. I hereby call upon the witness to give further testimony. That's great, that is. Let me get a shot of that magnificent beard, Your Excellency. You claim it to be impossible that you were the one responsible for administering the poison to the victim. You will explain to the court in your testimony the basis upon which you make such a claim. I'm a journal and a man. I've never tried to run or hide from anything in my life. And I'm not about to start now, because that's many memoism. For a brief moment, I thought I'd illuminated the truth, but it slipped right back into obscurity again. Just where is this trial going to take us? Complete innocence. Oh yes, I stopped the English woman, and that's the very fact that proves I'm innocent. Because why would I have bothered to stab the woman if I'd already poisoned her? Good question. When I heard the student girl and that pompous English murderer arguing, it really got my goat. If the courts weren't going to punish Brett for what she did, someone else would have to see justice done. bro, I don't know about this. So, you admitted then? That everything happened as I described? That you are the one who stabbed Miss Brett in the back through the read screen? You can blame this miserable country of ours. A country that bows to the pressure of foreign powers and lets murderers walk free? What kind of future can a country like that have? That's why I did it! I did what our pathetic leaders didn't have the guts to do! Slam bang in the middle of that charming lady's back! I plunged the blade of sweet justice right in there! This can't be right, bro. Someone who spends his life seeing the truth is told. I feel really, really awful about giving false information in my testimony before. But as it turns out, it was somebody else who had it in for the victim and got to it before me. That's right, you guessed it. A pretty little student girl. Now that's a woman after my own heart. You're implicating Day again. She's the one who gave the poison to the English woman and ended her pitiful existence. And suddenly, snap! This journal here is off the hook. It shouldn't be. The argument is sound, certainly. If the witness hadn't administered the poison himself, he need only have waited for it to take effect. Subsequently stabbing the victim in the back would have been entirely nonsensical.
Therefore, this reporter had nothing to do with the poisoning. Yes, it's all quite logical, really.
That's right, it is! Logical and true. I'm glad you've all seen the light! Justice at last! This is unbelievable. After I'd made so much progress in proving his guilt, is he going to get away with it now? Think of Kazuma-sama and Naruhodo-san. They never stopped looking for a way forward until the judge's final gavel. Very well then, counsel. Proceed with what I assume to be your final cross-examination in this trial. Yes, Your Excellency! Shoot. That was not what I wanted to do, actually. I wanted to check the court record. I wanted to check something. I mean, it's all text, but like... There appears to be no liquid. Maybe it was used up. So you still maintain that you didn't give the poison to the victim? Obviously, that would be like putting a belt on your trousers when you're already wearing braces like these.
The accused administered the poison, following which this witness stabbed the victim. An unforgivable act, certainly, but not one of murder. That crime rests on the accused's shoulders. That is how the law works, you see, Yoko. Who knows? You may even learn something here today.
2 consecutive attempts on her life in the space of minutes. Quite a day for the victim. Do something that evil and you've got it coming. That's how the law works. The law of reckoning. That's not the kind of law this court upholds. You will reiterate why you were compelled to stab the victim, then, witness. When I heard this, you got my goat. Oh my... Ha! 4 statements, eh? So we're to assume you didn't know she got poisoned. Oh, I'm just gonna press. I'm not saying anything immediate. So you do admit that you have murderous intentions towards Miss Brett, then? Ha! The woman's very existence offended my sense of justice. Your sense of... He's claiming some sort of righteous indignation. She was pure evil, a cold-blooded killer who'd commit murder right here in our Empire's soil. But did our good-for-nothing government do anything? Not a chance, so I had to step in. Fly the flag of justice. Put things right for the people. Yes, it was my civic duty. That's what drove me to do it. So, in summary, murderous intentions then. Whatever you want to call it, the point is this. That English woman was a blight, so I had to do what was right for society.
Yet a real wrong was done by the shooting girl in the dock, a crime for which she must pay.
Obviously, because the poisoning was nothing to do with me at all. Of course not. Maybe... Okay, wait, let me get back to the statement. Because why would you have bothered to stab the woman if you'd already poisoned her? Well, wasn't the poison meant to be a secret? And like... Okay, wait. I'm gonna shoot my shot here, actually. Because, somewhere... The poison was secretly developed, right? And then... current methods cannot detect... Is this what I want to read? No, I don't think it was this. Onset of symptoms occurs in minutes, starting with impaired breathing and ending with such symptoms would be suggestive of this toxin, this secret toxin. So I'm going to shoot my shot here. Shit. Okay, never mind. I thought I was onto something. The witness's statement is definitively contradicted by this piece of evidence. If that's so, counsel, then perhaps you would care to explain to the court precisely how... I can't do game logic, bro. Definitively? Contradiction lies in your apparent eagerness to present an empty argument, I feel. Perhaps I need to reconsider. Well, that's a good question nonetheless, and I'm sure you had your reason, if you did the do. Fine, I'll leave it alone for now. I'm suspicious. When I heard the student girl in that pompous English... Alright. What exactly were they arguing about? About what happened in that restaurant 9 months ago, that's what. Now, the student girl was laying into the English woman for killing her beloved mentor, Dr. Wilson. Yes, John H. Wilson. Professor of Medicine, invited here from England by Professor Mikotoba, no less. Right, but the Englishwoman just jeered.
Her case was to be heard by the British Consular Court in Shanghai. However, there is little doubt that she would simply have been acquitted and sent back to her homeland a free woman.
Leading that student girl up inside, you could see it. I really felt for her. She's probably not having it. You're accusing her of murder. I can't
stand here and listen to this tripe!
Hey!
Young girl, you stand accused here. You can't just blurt out whenever you feel like it.
No, you can't. Sorry, but I'm in the middle of some very important testimony here. Just keep quiet and listen.
But there's awful
dock at once, Membami-san. We are in the middle of a cross-examination. Your Excellency, please, I implore you. That journalist is clearly not a trustworthy witness.
Exactly! He's filthy, rotten, black-hearted, bigoted, dirty, great peeping Tom!
Whoa, take it easy there.
Please.
I really think the court should hear what the defense then has to say.
Your Excellency, I see no need whatsoever to entertain the accused's remarks.
I will grant the request of the defense.
Your Excellency!
This is likely to be the final cross-examination of these proceedings. That's twice now. As such, I believe it would be ill-advised to stifle the defendant's obvious concerns. So, whilst recognizing that this contravenes regular protocol, I hereby call upon the defendant to speak.
Oh! Thank you so much, Your Excellency!
Oh, okay, we're still on the... It was nothing to do with Dr. Wilson. We were just discussing the stolen poison. The stolen poison that killed the victim, you mean?
I suspected her of being the one to steal it. I mean, just thinking about how she killed Dr. Wilson.
That's true. Additionally, Miss Brett certainly had knowledge of the new poison. But surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed for the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult.
That's true. I pestered Professor Mikotowa until he agreed to show me the poison when I visited his laboratory. But as I left, I was searching for Dr. Tail.
Miss Brett rather bluntly revealed the existence of the toxin we've been developing, you see. Since Souseki-san expressed such an interest in it, I felt unable to refuse. Obviously, I gave nothing away, other than the fact that it was an extremely potent substance.
Very ashamed of myself. It's just like, I've had a singularly terrible experience with a deadly poison. I wanted to look my old enemy in the eye! Surely you can understand that!
To find out if my suspicions were true, I confronted Miss Brett about the poison. I told her that if there were to be an incident involving it somehow, it wouldn't just be the university. The military would be dragged into it too. The whole government even. It would be a complete disaster. And how did Miss Brett respond to your concerns? She just curled those beautiful lips of hers. Said she didn't know the first thing about it. In English, actually. Ah, yes. Any Memelson. One more question, if you don't mind. I do mind. Can't you see I'm busy? Clearly you were outside the beach hut listening in whilst the defendant and Miss Brett were conversing. Presumably then, it was you who wrote this article about what you heard. Exclusive. Deadly poison stolen from Yume Medical Research Laboratory. The story was published in this morning's edition of Shoyu News. The details are far too accurate for it to have been written by anyone else. Sorry, I don't know what you're talking about, sir.
Yes, look at this! The entire article! It's almost what I said to Miss Brett! Word for word!
Well, Many Memel-san? As a journal and as a citizen of a free country, I don't have to reveal my sources. That's a founding principle of Many Memoism. Father's clearly right about this. The reporter did write that article, and based on what he overheard from outside the hut. Oh, I had to freaking update it. Is that what's happening? So that's what it was all about. You were trying to cover up the fact that you were listening in. That's why you came up with that stinking story about me arguing with her. Shut up! My stories never stink! Look, whatever you say, little girl, it doesn't alter the facts. Your Excellency, there's something I want to say, and I want it to go on record. Very well, you may amend your formal testimony. The point is, if you poison someone, there'd be no reason to then go and stab the person as well! I was going to present evidence, but okay, sure. Perhaps you doubted the efficacy of the poison and sought to make sure your victim would die! That's horse dung! What? That would be like pouring pepper on your Chinese ramen before you'd even taste it. Completely reckless! Although, it might surprise you to learn that I am a bit of an impetuous pepper pourer as it happens. Once the victim had taken the poison, she would have been only minutes away from death. And yet, this man then proceeded to stab her in the back as well. There has to be a good reason for that. If it was the reporter who gave the poison to Miss Brett, then clearly, he must have done it prior to Ray entering the hut. Yes, it's undeniable. But between him leaving the hut and the victim being stabbed, there's one very crucial change in the situation. What change? The reporter overheard the conversation between Ray and the English woman. Okay, so I casually spoiled this part, I'm sorry. Either that or game logic didn't align with mine. But anyway, that's when many Memo-san first found out the exact nature of the poison he used. That could be the key here. If the victim had unwittingly taken the poison already, the reporter would have no reason to stab her. On the face of it, that logic sounds entirely reasonable. There's no question that this man was responsible for Miss Brett's murder. We could think of a plausible explanation as to why he might have stabbed her even after the poisoning. If we're sure that everything would drop into place, that's what we should be looking for. Yes, I agree. And in order to do that, I must try to glean more information. Alright. The point is, if you poison someone, there'd be no reason to go and, trying to hide the cause of death. Alright, yeah. There we go. Well, I can think of one reason. What? But before I explain, I'd like you to confirm something for the court. Did you glean all the information from this newspaper article and from what you overheard outside the hut? Of course he did! There can be no question of that! After all, when we were all in the laboratory together, we were told that it was a terrible toxin! There is one more important fact to consider. According to the witness, Membami-san's verbal attack against the victim began as soon as she entered the hut. In other words, it would have been impossible for her to have slipped the poison into Miss Brett's drink.
Objection! Where are you going with this, counsel?
Manny Memo-san had made it quite clear that he observed every single thing that happened in the beach hut. If the defendant had somehow found an opportunity, this man would have seen it. Which means that Miss Brett couldn't have imbibed the poison while the defendant was present. In fact, it must have been administered to her before Membami-san entered the hut. Yes, very articulately put.
When I walked into the hut, I immediately started to press Miss Brett about the poison.
At which point, many Mamosong overheard some worrying information.
Worrying information? What worrying information?
The information which he subsequently included in his newspaper article, namely, that the poison was being developed in strict secrecy and that it couldn't be readily obtained. Absolutely. In fact, that's quite an understatement. The only possible place it could come from is my lab. And furthermore, anyone afflicted by the poison would exhibit telltale signs in death.
Extreme constriction of the pupils. Yes, it's quite stark when you see it. There are other poisons that show similar symptoms, not among new substances that are undetectable.
In other words, it would be clear that the victim's life had been ended by use of this particular poison, which would reduce the number of suspects to only a handful of people. Everyone in my laboratory is aware of the unique properties of the toxin we've been developing. None of them would be foolish enough to attempt to use it for some nefarious deed. Membobmisong being no exception. Therefore, we can conclude that whoever administered this unique poison to the victim was a layperson, unaware of its telltale properties. In other words, someone like you, Knight and Many Memo! Ah! It was you who stole the poison from the laboratory that day. It was you who administered it to the unwitting victim. You quickly realized that was a terrible mistake. Because the poison caused such unusual symptoms and was so traceable. As you listened in from the far side of the beach hut's thin walls, you learnt of these facts. You had already given the victim the poison at that point. It was too late. So you hatched a plan to disguise your mistake. A plan that involved stabbing the victim in the back through the reed screen.
But what good could that possibly do?
Isn't it obvious, Counsel? The plan was to kill Miss Brett before the poison could take effect. Once in the blood, the poison causes the onset of pupil constriction. But he had hoped to precipitate the victim's death before that happened, hadn't he? Exactly. Because without any revealing signs of the new secret poison's use, no one would have ever suspected. This is extraordinary. Yes, the effects of the poison meant it would be too easily identified, so the killer had to mask its use. Which he attempted to do by plunging a knife into the middle of the victim's back. Order! The argument presented is sound. The court is satisfied that it warrants consideration. Does the prosecution have a counter-argument it wishes to put forward?
Well, there are a number of... yes! I counter completely!
The prosecution's evasive response clearly shows that in much the same way as he nurtures the remnants of his top knot, he is clinging to lost hope.
Lost hope!
What now? Whoa! Oh, you pathetic, useless, fallen samurai!
Falling? Who are you calling falling? My burgeoning growth is...
I don't need a counter-argument! What are you talking about? It should be blatantly obvious. I stole the poison, you say? Gave it to the victim, you say? Stabbed her, you say? Lots of fine theories. But I don't need a counter-argument, because you don't have an argument yourself. Where's your evidence? Yes, you make it all sound so plausible, don't you? But without evidence, it means nothing. Whereas I base my news on facts. Facts? What do you mean? Explain yourself. I mean what the professor said earlier in this trial. It's all here, in my many memos. Every word, every slip of the tongue, all noted. It's why the show you news is famous for. It's the power of the printed word. But surely it would be no easy task to steal a highly secret toxin being developed for the government. Indeed, all visitors to the laboratory are thoroughly searched when they leave. Even if a thief managed to avoid being seen by myself or a colleague, getting the poison out would be very difficult. How's that then? Blowing the story wide open? See, I write in many memo, a mere reporter from the show you news. Couldn't possibly have stolen that poison from the professor's laboratory. Maybe you hid it in a place they wouldn't think to check. There can't be any question of it. He must have stolen the poison that day. He stole it and used it to kill. And if that's the case, as you've identified, the poison itself is the definitive evidence we need. Because whoever stole it from the laboratory that day is the true culprit here. What's your point, you annoyingly handsome country bumpkin? My point is this. There is one way that you, Many Memo Song, could have stolen the poison that day. Oh, we on to you now. I've heard enough verbal conjecture now, thank you. What the court must be shown is evidence. What proof do you have that this witness stole the poison on the day in question? Should we? Because, yeah, I checked it all, didn't I? Like, we can't use a reagent on this. Can we? Yeah, because it's empty. He would have used it already. Like, should we just go for it? Because I haven't proven that there's any trace in there. Okay, whatever, I'll shoot my shot. Proof, Your Excellency, is this fountain pen. So it did end up being definitive evidence. A fountain pen? How could they possibly be relevant? These magical pens somehow seem to have enough ink to write many thousands of kanji characters. I believe they arrived in our country for the first time some 15 years ago now.
Ha! I swear by a weasel-hair calligraphy brush and nothing else. These newfangled pens are merely a fad.
Well, as a forward-thinking man of words, obviously I love my fountain pen. Suck up a soupçon of sumptuous ink, and one's work is awash with words in the blink of an eye. That's right. Fountain pens have a small reservoir in the bottom, into which ink is sucked up through the nib of the pen in order to write with later.
What does all this talk of sucking up ink have? Ah!
Notice, just as it's possible to suck up ink up into the reservoir, it's also possible to eject it through the nib again, of course. My word! Can this really be? Well, Mini Memo-san? Rather clumsy killer, aren't you? When you saw the deadly poison before your eyes in the laboratory that day, You used your fountain pen, your very lifeblood, to steal some of it, didn't you? By siphoning the poison up the nib and into the pen's reservoir. Ah!
Objection! More absurdity! That never happened!
True. I've heard that there were procedures in place to prevent thefts like this from the laboratory. But would anyone have thought to look inside a fountain pen of all places? No. I'm a little ashamed to say that for fear of offending our guests, such a detailed search would have not been conducted. Oh, this is quite startling, I must say. I remind the court that this pen was found in the clutches of the victim when she died. In other words, it was dropped at the scene by many members of. So the crucial question is, when exactly was the pen dropped? Are you suggesting? The natural conclusion is that in your haste to act whilst the victim was distracted for a moment, you dropped the pen after you emptied the poison from into a glass.
There could be any number of alternative explanations. For example, the witness could have used his pen to write down details of his conversation with the victim. And when shot by one of her outrageous answers, the pen fell from his quivering hand.
No, that can't be. If it was, how did you explain why the pen was devoid of ink?
What?
As you can see for yourself if you examine the evidence, there would appear to be no ink present in the reservoir. One newspaper reporter goes to interview someone with nothing in his pen. No, the pen was dropped after the poison that filled its reservoir had been emptied into the victim's glass. Witness, what have you said? What do you have to say? So this is how a modern justice system works, is it? So what if the ink in the pen runs dry? So what if my pencil snaps? I can always claw my way back into the game. I have plenty in reserve. Ah! You claim I sucked the poison up into my pen? That's wild speculation, nothing more! If you thought you could bring down a fine, upstanding citizen with a trick like that, think again! Looks as though it's going to take one final decisive blow to finish this matter. As I see it, the situation is now very simple. Rests upon whether or not this witness did indeed steal the poison on the day in question. And therefore, it all depends upon whether or not the defense can prove that he did with evidence. Ha! No such evidence could possibly exist! Many memos home. This is how a modern justice system works. What? In the courtroom, evidence is everything. Something you will do well to remember. Because we are well past the point of speculation at this stage, I assure you. Very well then, I call upon the defense to present aforementioned evidence. This is it then. This will be the final piece in the puzzle. The defense can prove by means of this item that it was the witness's pen that was used to steal the poison. Counsel, what is that bottle? This bottle contains a unique chemical reagent that can identify the poison in question. Ah! Yes, that poison is an entirely new synthesis of alkaloids developed by my colleagues, and it would seem impossible to detect traces of it by any other method. Or, from another perspective, simply with this chemical reagent, anybody at all could check for traces of the poison. Reagent? What? One drop of the contents of this bottle on the tip of your fountain pen, Many Memo-san. That's all it would take to solve this case beyond all reasonable doubt. No, you can't. I won't. Crimes are bad enough, but at least know when to admit defeat. Your Excellency, the defense requests permission to carry out the test of the fountain pen at once. This isn't my fault! The Empire drove me to this, trying to hold its head high in a civilized nation! I can't read it so fast! Many minimalism! Many memo! Susato! With me now! I'm there! Did I do it right? That was a soft takedown, wasn't it? Not quite. That was a new tunnel takedown. Stop blowing my cover, friend. Oh yeah. The instant the first drop of the reagent touched the nib of the fountain pen, it was clear to everyone present. When I saw it there in the lab, poison, the devil got hold of me and I decided to do it on a whim. I excused myself of emptying all the ink down the sink in the bathroom, washing the reservoir out carefully. And then you waited for an opportunity to suck up some of the poison, didn't you? Into your fountain pen. That's right. Answer me one thing, Manny Memo-san. Why did you steal it? For what purpose? Isn't it obvious? To find out what it was made of and expose it in an article. I mean, it was a secret project after all. Too juicy for a journal like me to pass up.
Wait, why did the English woman end up dead?
I went to her intending to quiz her on the situation, that's all. As a reporter. A known killer, joined for freedom, evading justice by leaving the country. I told her what I thought about it. She just laughed in my face! Oh, what's this? A Far Eastern caveman purporting to practice journalism? Really, you must learn the difference between reporting and listening at doorways, you ignorant plebeian. What did you call me? This country with its pretensions to a justice system, to a free press, is really very depressing. You see our superior ways in the West, yet you lack the mental capacity to emulate them. Get out of here, you oaf! Get out! Crawl back into the cave you came from. That's when I remembered about the deadly poison I happened to have in my pen at the time. What a terrible tale. In my head, I knew I should just get out of there as quickly as possible, but I couldn't! I couldn't let her get away with what she'd done, when she clearly had no remorse at all. I suppose it was my journo spirit getting all fired up. I'd like to ask you something. Yes. You often talk about justice. But surely as a journalist, you could have used other means to deliver the justice you sought. There's no justice in the press. Sorry? After the trial 9 months ago, I kept digging and digging to find out what had happened in that courtroom. And finally, I discovered the truth. It was a cover-up, that's what it was! A cover-up? What do you mean? I would remind you of your position, witness. Be careful what you say. Oh, come on! Doesn't it strike you as strange? We're suddenly not allowed to convict a foreign national? Consular jurisdiction should have never come into it! And yet the buffed-up Englishwoman was going to sail away into the sunset a free woman! The only possible explanation is that behind the scenes, some deal was going down on between Britain and Japan! What sort of deal? I'd done my research, dug up all the dirt. It was all ready to be published. But you know what happened? The editor just tore the article up! Came under pressure from the government, you mean? If a government is going to let criminals walk free, they're going to crush the free press! What choice do I have but to see that justice is done myself? Let's not forget, Manny Memo-san, that you committed murder yourself, and you tried to lay the blame at the defendant's door. I'm sorry, but you're no better than Giselle Brett. The truth is, you have no right to talk about justice at all! I suppose. It would appear that we have reached a conclusion in this trial at last. Counsel for the defense, Ryutaro Naruhodo. Yes! Sorry, Your Excellency. Just musing in a very manly way here. It's almost unbelievable that this is your first experience of the Supreme Court. It was an excellent performance. In truth, very much reminded me of your cousin's exploits. Naruho, Yunosuke, you mean? The way he handled the trial 9 months ago, and the way you handle this one, it gives me hope that we are genuinely entering a new era of justice in this land. It's very flattering, Your Excellency. Hearing the defense you put forward today made me feel most keenly that the future of our justice system will be forged by you and your contemporaries. Thank you! So, Prosecutor Ochi, do you have any final thoughts? Prosecutor Ochi?
I, Taketsuchi out of the Aochi clan, have been bested by a callow youth not once now, but twice. If there was any shred of my former self left, it has withered and died here today.
Gosh, your journey to cultural enlightenment sure took a while, didn't it?
Silence! Rather than living on in shame, I will end it all now with this blade. Well, this is the path to Aochiism!
Aochiism? One hopes that's the only way in which he'll be modeling himself after the witness.
Spring of my top knot. The time is right for farewell. Hope is lost forever. TAKEDOWN.
Now, in regard to the defendant, remember me, son.
Yes, Your Excellency?
I have reached my final verdict. I hereby find you not guilty. Sakura confetti again. Court is adjourned. It's over. My heart is still pounding in my chest, though. That's all I can do just to stay standing. Lawyers have such a great responsibility. Such a great burden to bear. Don't they? Not all the time.
Susato! Thank you so much. You were so dashing in there.
Hey, my father.
Honestly, I'm so touched by everything I think I'm going to cry.
It wasn't easy, but together we made it. I was on the verge of tears at the end too.
The only reason I'm still here is because of you.
No, I can't take all the credit. It took courage to tell the truth in there. You did run wonderfully today, so I would have to say that the congratulations belong to you. To you!
Susato, don't be so standoffish.
Sorry?
We're friends, equals. The trial's over, so no more of this formal super humility nonsense. It's time to celebrate with some swagger, to throw caution to the wind.
Caution to the what?
I'm the great defense lawyer, Naruhodo, and I'm taking you out to a milk bar tomorrow. Or something.
Right, I see. I'll think about it, eh?
At any rate, we really knocked the wind out of that horrid man. It felt so good.
Yes, it sure was satisfying.
It really was. Isn't there anybody else we could throw together?
I hope you're not looking at me, babe.
Oh my goodness! No, of course not! Of course not!
Ah, there it is at last. His lovely smile. You fought for your friend to the very last. As your father, I'm extremely proud of you. Defense attorney and you, Taro Naruhodo.
Thank you. I couldn't have done it without your help.
Anyway, it's time to bid farewell to you, Taro, I think. Shall miss him in a way, but it's back to Susato Mikoto now.
So, I'll never see him again then. What a terrible shame.
What? Oh.
What is happening?
Soseki-san, Inspector Hosonaga, I do hope you've been keeping well. Is that really you? Yes, I had to change my appearance for, well, obvious reasons, I hope. But yes, it's me, Susato Mikoto.
So dashing, so divine.
No!
Doubly dashing.
Yes.
And devilishly divine. Just look at you. I had no idea, Mrs. Sato-san Esquires, that you were locum student Oto-san Esquire's cousin. Astonishing, astounding, ace attorney.
Roll credits. Poor Soseki-san, so confused. I still remember the first time I ever met him. I was in a prison cell in London. An extraordinary conundrum it was that the unwitting student from Japan found himself embroiled in. But after Naruhodo-san's skillful defense at the Old Bailey, Soseki-san was free to return to Japan. Now he seems to have earned himself great fame as an author. I'm stunned. It's a truly impressive disguise. Even I have no idea, and I'm a chief inspector at the police bureau, who came up with Mr. Turtle, no less. I'm not sure you should be admitting to that, Inspector. Amazing. A woman of many faces, I see. Just to really... this was a once-in-a-lifetime event, I hope. Well, I'm not on a patch on you, though, Inspector. I am a professional, of course. I do worry about Inspector Hosonaga sometimes. I really do. 9 months ago, when he appeared here at the Supreme Court to testify, he was undercover, disguised as the head waiter of a restaurant. And then on the steamship to Great Britain, of course, disguised as a sailor to keep us safe on the journey. Not that. That didn't help you, did it, Kazuma-sama? From my perspective, I have to admit that I have mixed feelings about all of this. I mean, how the truth has been lost forever. What do you mean? Talking about the murder the English woman committed at the end of last year. Ah, yes, it was an English doctor she killed, as I understand it. Dr. John H. Wilson, yes. The man I invited to Japan personally. The mystery is, why did she kill him? Now that the culprit herself is dead, I'll probably never know the answer. The voyage to Great Britain had almost an unexpected encounter. Mr. Sherlock Holmes, the great detective, I mean. What does he have to do with this? Yes, I remember Mr. Sholmes well, of course. Arch Nemesis! How lightly you utter his name! Well, of According to the stories published about him in the adventures of Sherlock Holmes, the detective once had a partner who helped him solve the crimes. A best friend. That man was an exceptional doctor of medicine. The name of John H. Wilson.
What? Dr. Wilson?
I just can't believe that it's a coincidence. I think that the English doctor of medicine killed here in Japan 9 months ago must have been the friend and partner of Mr. Sholmes. And if that's really true, then the poor girl will never see her beloved father again. As you know, I travelled to Great Britain once myself to study. It was around the time you were born. Yes, grandmother told me about it. On returning to Japan, I took my professorship at the Imperial Yume University. But I also serve another role, as an advisor to the government on diplomatic affairs. Yes, I was aware of that as well. In that case, I'm sure you understand that there are some confidential matters I cannot divulge to you. What's this all about? Could you just tell me one thing? Why did you summon me back to Japan? It's been 2 months now since I've returned. You ask this now? When I left England, it was because an urgent telegram had arrived from Japan. It said that you collapsed with a high fever. You were growing weaker by the day.
What? Where did that news come from?
That's what I'd like to know. Because after that long sea voyage, I found you in fine health, Father. Was it something in Great Britain that you perceived might inconvenience me in some way? Or harm me? That's really the only explanation I can think of. Dear me, do you reserve your most cutting glares for your father, Susato? I'm sorry, my dear. Simply can't.
Ah! Let me go!
Many Memo-san! So, run through wasn't enough for you! I've got one last thing to say before they take me away. Professor! Me? I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on. The visiting student's fate! Visiting student? Giselle Britton? No, not her! The student of law who left for Great Britain 8 months ago! He must be Kazuma-sama! What are you talking about? What does any of this have to do with Kazuma-sama? Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know that the guy never made it to England, that he died on the steamship, and that he'll never... Hey! Dude, oh, I didn't expect to find him in here. I didn't expect to see the judge outside the court. This never happens. What were you officers playing at? Terribly sorry, Your Excellency. I was coming to tell you that the rickshaw has arrived, Yuji. It's a good job I came by. Yes, thank you for dealing with him. And I'll be there shortly. Your Excellency! The trial's over. I'm not Your Excellency anymore. Merely your father's friend, Seishiro Jigoku. And may I say that since I saw you last, you seem to have taken on a more dashing appearance, Susato. Did you know all along, from the start of the trial? Ha 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 ha! The judge sees everything, Susato. Couldn't let you take the risk. If Seishiro he hadn't known, and then he'd recognise you. So I had a word in his ear beforehand, as an old friend. So, Seishiro, shall we? Yes. Having ruled on that case, we now have various diplomatic issues to address. Before you go, Father! Sorry, my dear. We shall have to return to our earlier conversation at a later date. Well done again, both of you. You did admirably. Oh. Thank you very much. What did you think of my Seishiro sling, eh? It's been a while since I sent a man flying like that. Ha 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 ha. Anyway, what could Father have been hiding from me? About Giselle Brett? About Dr. Wilson? Now it seems, according to the reporter, about Kazuma Sama. I'm going to have to bring this up with Father sometime. And nobody else is around. Judicial Assistant Mikotomo Esquire is. Could I have a word? Yes, of course, Oseki-san. What is it? I think perhaps it could be fate that we're meeting again like this now. You see, there's something I need to tell you. I believe it may be related to the reason why your father summoned you back from England. This I have to hear. Please, Oseki-san, tell me at once! I will! As you know, my time in England was terrible. Cursed, I have no doubt. Such awful things I was embroiled in. Thank goodness no concern Naruhodo Esquire, Sang Esquire stepped in. After he secured my freedom, I couldn't wait to get on a ship back here to my homeland. Having arrived in Japan, I submitted a report about my experiences to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. The next thing I knew, I had a visitor. It was your father, Professor Mikotomo. He wanted to ask me all sorts of things about my report. My father? He seemed to be especially taken with a particular part of the report. Anyway, he left eventually, having thoroughly quizzed me. But it was the very next day that he sent the telegram to you asking to return to Japan. What is it then? The particular part my father was interested in? I don't really know exactly. But do you remember then? Those two terrible cases I was caught up in? Of course, I could never forget. Your father seemed to concern himself mainly with the second case. The second one? You mean the one Mr. Jones forbade any of us to talk about in public? Which is why only the case involving you, that any member of the public is aware of, is the first. Oh, I don't care! I don't have to listen to what that dastardly detective says! Anyway, the point is, it seems that case somehow holds the key to all of these curious unanswered questions. Horrific, hideous, heinous case. The case of the haunted lodgings. That case somehow caused my father to summon me urgently back to Japan. I thought the whole business was over. It seems I was wrong. Perhaps that was only the start. Perhaps the story is not yet told.
So, the mystery of that English woman's death is solved, thank goodness. And having stood in the Supreme Court now, I think I can comprehend a little better how you must be feeling as you fight for people's freedom in a foreign land, Naruhodo-san. But actually, I'm writing to you today because of another matter. I met Soseki-san and we talked about that second case he was involved in. Father has said nothing to me, but I feel certain of it. That case holds the key to some great unsolved mystery. My notes on the case should still be in the office, tucked away at the back of the shelves on the left. Perhaps you might like to look over them again. Today, for the first time this year, it feels as though summer has arrived. The sky is a brilliant blue. It makes me long to see you again. Yours, Susato.